Welcome to InDesign Secrets, episode 323. I'm Anne-Marie Concepción, and I'm here along with my co-host, David Blatner.
And InDesign Secrets is the essential resource for all things InDesign, brought to you by CreativePro Network.
That's right. Hey, loyal listeners, we're trying something new in this episode. We're going to get to all the good stuff right off the bat, and then we're pushing the news and announcements toward the end of the podcast. As usual, the obscure InDesign feature of the week will be the cherry on top. That is, it'll be the last item in the show. So let us know what you think of the change.
Yeah, I got to push back, though, because it's all good stuff.
That's true.
I mean, there's nothing not good in this podcast. Come on. Listen
All
all
right.
the way to the bitter end. Come on.
Okay. But we're still going to do a summary of at the top of the show, all right?
Yes,
so that
yes,
you know
yes.
what's coming.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, David.
So what we're going to be doing in today's podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about embedding graphics into InDesign files, because that's sort of an evergreen topic that we just need to keep bringing up every now and again. It's an important thing. We're going to have a sneak peek. I'm excited to share a sneak peek of a couple of features that are coming in the next version of InDesign. We're going to talk about that. That's going to be released very soon. And Adobe gave us permission to talk about them. And I did this great interview with the amazing Paula Scher, internationally renowned graphic designer from Pentagram. Anyway, we had a great conversation. We're just going to take a little snippet of that and put it in here because I just want to make sure everybody gets a little taste of that.
Very exciting.
And then, you mentioned the obscure feature of the week. It is going to be Paste Nudge. Which is, it's wonderfully obscure.
This is right.
It's actually, people see this all the time, but they don't know what it's called.
Right. It has a name that only exists in the tooltip, right? I think it's only in the tooltip.
I don't even think it's there. I think it's just a name,
We'll
like
have
an
to check.
internal terminology. Anyway,
All right.
It's going to be fun. Let's talk about that.
Okay. And this episode is sponsored by Adobe Max. You may have heard of them, the Creativity Conference, and PageProof, an online solution for proof approvals with your team and with clients. And by the way, excuse my cold. Today's day one. I'm trying my best not to say any words with the letter N in them, except for I have to say InDesign has two N's. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Now you sound okay. You sound a little stuffy,
right.
but
Okay.
we'll,
Good.
we'll push through. We're gonna
push through.
do this. It happens. Sometimes we get
That's right.
colds. Viruses are real. Yes. So let's talk
First
a little
topic.
bit about embedding graphics.
That's right.
A lot of people don't realize, perhaps, that if you place a graphic, well, almost every InDesign user knows, if you place a graphic, it creates a link to the graphic on disk, right?
That's right. It's not really, all you see is a preview in the
Right.
InDesign layout.
Right.
And if you need to move that layout somewhere else, you also have to move the linked graphics, and you have to keep track of all those linked graphics. There's even a panel called links to keep track of all these things.
Right.
But you don't always have to just keep them linked, like hanging on, like at the end of a. Now I'm trying to think of a kite. I think of the links as like at the end of a kite, the little strings that hang off the end.
Yeah.
And wherever the kite goes, those strings have to go. Those little ribbons. But
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. You could
Nope.
tape the ribbons to the kite. Let's really push this metaphor all the way. You could embed the links into the actual InDesign layout.
Yes.
So the entire graphic. So if you have a mega layered Photoshop file with all sorts of fun features and Illustrator graphics, you can embed the entire thing into the InDesign layout. Then you don't have to worry about keeping track of that original image. It travels with the layout, so
Yeah.
that when you print or export to PDF, you get the high-res graphic. Now, people say, but wait, doesn't that increase the size of your InDesign file? Why, yes, it does. But
A lot.
this is
yes.
this is not 1997. We have
Right.
big hard drives, lots of RAM. It's not that big of a deal, and you don't have to always embed the high res, mega big PSD files. What if you're doing, I don't know, some sort of manual, right?
Yeah.
Mainly screenshots. You can embed those. Why do you have
Sure.
to track 20,000 screenshots? Just
Right.
embed them. There you go. That's my rant. Next topic, please.
Anne-Marie has always been a big believer in
I have
embedding
been.
graphics. And she has gotten me on board. I have to say, I am making more and more InDesign documents where I place the graphics and I go to the links panel, and you can right click on the graphic in the links panel, or go to the links panel menu and just choose embed graphic, and
That's
poof,
right.
it just sucks it right into the file itself, and then you don't have to track it anymore. Now, so I'm using that more and more. I really like the convenience. When I send an InDesign file to somebody.
If the InDesign file is using Adobe fonts
Yep.
and you have embedded the graphics,
Yep.
it essentially turns it into an editable PDF. Completely editable. I give it to you. You have the high-res graphics. You have the fonts that automatically load, and there you go. You don't need anything else on the side.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the people. I do this a lot with clients when they ask me to design something for them that's going to be used mainly in-house. I'll just embed the graphics, and they're like, where are the graphics?
Right.
They're there. You still see them in the links panel.
Yep.
They just have a little icon that means they're embedded.
Yep.
Now, the problem, there's a couple gotchas. One of them is, what if you want to edit one of those graphics? You can't just edit original
Right.
because it's part of the InDesign file. You have to unembed it first. And
Right.
you do that
Right.
by right-clicking or by choosing unembed link from the links panel menu. And it'll give you the crazy dialog that says, if you know where the original one is, I can link to that, or we don't have to. So I never choose, yes, find the original. I don't care about the original. I just say, make the new graphic. So it'll extract the graphic. So you have a layered PSD file. It'll extract it, name it what you want. Usually it suggests the same name it was when it was embedded, because that doesn't change when you embed. And then you just say where to put it. And so it does that, and now in the links panel, it's there, but it's a normal link. It's not embedded. And now you can edit original. And then you can re-embed it if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great workaround. I do sometimes relink to the original. If I have the original graphic, then I'd rather relink to that than create a duplicate, because then I've got two versions on my hard drive, and then I've got.
Right.
I mean, after a while, you get too many duplicates on your hard drive. But so yeah, it doesn't really matter though. Ultimately, the point is you can embed these things. It grabs a duplicate of it and it puts it inside, and then you can unembed it in order to edits, like you just said. I think that's super helpful.
The other thing is that, what was the point of links in the first place? Well, the point was that people could be working on the linked graphic, and then you can update when people make changes.
Right.
Well, that's not going to work for embedded graphics. People will be updating the original, but if you've embedded it, it doesn't know it from Adam. So you're not going to be able to update it when people update the original.
Yep.
You have to keep that in mind. So in other words, it's really great for final graphics like screenshots. Nobody's going to be editing it, right?
Yep.
So keep that in mind.
I think that's right on. It's one of those things that you can keep in your tool bag. It's a feature that's really useful. A lot of people don't realize it's there, and there are pros and cons, as you pointed out.
I clearly remember at our very first PepCon, way back when
That's
in
a long
Seattle,
time ago. Yeah.
that we were talking about this in one of the sessions, and somebody said, but if you export to IDML, then you lose it. When actually, you don't.
Right.
Exporting to IDML, it's still there. And when you resurrect the IDML into an InDesign file, you still see the embedded graphic, which is amazing.
That is amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
I have to go. I haven't tried that for a long time. Interesting point. So it just makes it more versatile, but there are some pros and cons. So
right.
One of those things we just want to let people know every now and again. Don't forget about the possibility of embedding your graphics.
I said people, there was just a thread in the InDesignSecrets forum on Facebook where this woman said she had this client that insisted on just getting one file. She only wanted one InDesign file. Did you read that?
No, but
she had some complicated Illustrator graphics, and her boss said, "Oh, we have to do those complicated Illustrator graphics directly in InDesign with InDesign drawing tools, because it has to be in one file."
I did see that.
And
yes.
she tried linking, or she tried copying and pasting, and a lot of that didn't come through.
Right.
So myself and a few other people suggested that why don't you do them in Illustrator, place them, and then embed them. And she didn't even know that you could do that. Then you have one file that you can hand off if that's important.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. That's great. All right. I want to talk about what's coming. It's great to look all the way back, like embedded graphics. The feature has been in InDesign for 20-something years.
Right.
But what about looking forward? to
That's
Max.
right.
So Adobe Max is coming. Adobe Max is usually the time when Adobe announces all these new features in their various products. And
Yep.
I have to say, it's been a number of years now where we haven't had that many features in InDesign, which has always been sad. But this year, it's changing. This year, they've already, even before Max, they started releasing new features. We've seen the history panel all of a sudden popped
Yep.
out. Like, wait,
That's
a
right.
history panel in InDesign? Yeah, let's try it out. We've seen the Gen AI stuff come into
Right.
InDesign, where you're able to do generative expand and also
Uh-huh.
generative images. So
Right.
Adobe is clearly changing their game in how they release things and how they roll stuff out. So they're rolling features out earlier, and I want to say I get the sense that they're also much more willing now to roll features out that aren't fully baked. Let's just put it that
Which
way.
is right. It's a double-edged sword.
It is. So they're
Yeah.
giving us the feature, but they're not really completed
Right.
yet. They're
Like the
and
history panel.
yeah,
The history panel doesn't work with a document that you've converted
right,
from a previous
right,
version. It doesn't
right.
automatically kick in. You have to
Or
save it first.
new documents. If you
Or
open
new
a new
documents,
document
right.
and you work for a half hour,
Right.
open the
You have to
history
save it.
panel, none of
Right.
that work is there. So there are some weird things that are going on. But I'm also noticing that Adobe is much more willing now to start throwing those features out at us, seeing what people say, and then improving them over time.
Yes.
So they're really listening to hear how are people using these? What do people like and don't like about them?
Uh-huh.
It is a double-edged sword, as you said,
Right.
because when Adobe puts a feature out that's half baked, a lot of people say, I'm not even going to use it. Why?
Right.
So they're not going to have feedback because they don't even want to use it, or if they
True.
get burned by it,
Right.
they may never use it in the future.
But
But
we
I
want to
think
encourage them. I mean, you think of a
we do.
toddler who's learning how to walk, right? They don't start walking perfectly running the decathlon. They're moving around and
Right,
bumping and falling.
right.
Now, Adobe is a mega software company and it shouldn't be like a toddler, but maybe they're just not perfect yet. And instead of waiting until it's perfect, they just put it out there when, hey, I think this works. It doesn't
Yeah.
crash anything. What
Yep.
do you think?
Exactly. So the features are like toddlers. These are 1.0 versions of these features. InDesign's been around a long time, but this feature, like the history panel, is a 1.0 version.
Right.
So this is new and different, and we're all getting used to that. I think you're right. For the most part, it's not causing big problems like crashing, but it is. It's something to look at. Now, all that said, Adobe, because they're rolling stuff out a little bit earlier, they've gotten a little bit more willing to allow us to talk about some of these features.
Right.
And I just got the okay yesterday to talk about two features that are going to be coming out at Adobe Max in the next version of InDesign, which I assume will be InDesign
That's right. And
2025.
they're not in the public beta. These are completely new.
I think that's right. I think
Yeah,
they're completely new
they're not in the
features.
beta. No.
One is MathML, is the ability to import MathML. If you're not familiar, MathML is it's kind of like XML for mathematics. So
Right.
you can create math expressions, quadratic
Scientific
equations.
journals, math
Right.
textbooks,
Yep. Yep.
all those kind of things. People have been screaming for solutions for that. There's a couple plugins
Yep.
that are quite complicated and expensive, but you'd think that InDesign should be able to do it on its own. And
Some people
they're
have said
finally
that.
rolling that out. Yes.
So if you have the MathML code, they're going to be able to convert that into basically a graphic inside of InDesign at this time. And I think they're working at making it more editable. But that's going to be a really interesting 1.0 feature to look at.
Yep.
I think it's going to have to get a lot
Definitely, I
better.
think it's the top most requested feature on
It's
user
way
voice.
up there. It is way up there. I think you mentioned the plugins. They're not that much more expensive. The one that I typically recommend is called MathType from Movamen. We'll put a link in the
Okay.
show notes.
All right.
It's phenomenally great. So it's
Yeah.
almost like Adobe is releasing a feature which is like a little toddler, like you said, a little new thing. Hey, we can do an expression. Versus MathType. MathType is like grandfather awesomeness. So it's going to be not fair for a while. People who need great math, you're going to keep using MathType for sure. But anyway, it's cool that Adobe is getting into this business
That's
and
true.
trying something new and giving some new features.
So you can see that in InDesign 2025, which should be released on the first day of Adobe Max, which is October 14th, 2024.
I think that's right. That's what they're telling us.
That's right.
That's
Okay,
what
and
they're
what's
telling
the
us.
other feature that we're allowed to talk about?
The other one that they just are letting us sneak is InDesign to Adobe Express. And that's very intriguing. Adobe
Yeah,
Express, of course, you can tell just anytime you talk to anybody at Adobe Express is like their
that's the thing. That's their
that's
thing.
their thing these days.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um,
Kind of
Adobe,
like Canva, right? Isn't it kind of like
it's kind of
Canva?
like Canva.
Comes
So
with a
it's
bunch of templates. People can use it to publish things. They don't have to use InDesign.
yep,
And so the idea is that a designer would create something that looks really great in InDesign,
that's
and then
right.
they could export it to Adobe Express, and
Yep,
somebody else could take it over in Adobe Express and do stuff with it.
yep, yep. Um, I
What do you
it's a
think?
great first step. I think it's going to be very interesting. Exactly what you said, the ability to create templates in InDesign. I will tell you what I want more is Express to InDesign because I want people to mess
True.
around in Express and use all of the tools. Like they've got a lot of AI
Uh huh.
stuff that you can kind of quickly throw things together and still make it look pretty good. But I want to take the Express document and bring it into InDesign to fine tune it because InDesign is all about fine tuning, right? That it's a precision
True.
tool.
True.
Anyway, I hope they'll get to that. I really
We'll
do.
see.
We'll see. But right now, they're starting with this move to Express, which I think is great. I think it's. I'm excited that
I have
it's
not really used Express. I hope that Adobe doesn't hear that. But have you used it at all?
a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I use it on my phone sometimes. I'll make social images, social
Okay.
media
So
graphics.
yeah.
Um, it's easy. I mean, I
Okay.
gotta say, what I love about Express is anybody can make a pretty cool layout, but it's limited, right?
Huh.
You're not going to get, you don't have the power of InDesign, and I
Right.
am forever going to be attracted to having that kind of precision
Right.
power.
Can
So,
you see the advantage of being able to do something first in InDesign and then open that up in
oh,
Express?
yeah, exactly what you said. The idea that designers can create templates. Now,
Okay.
I have not played with this a lot yet, but the idea
Yeah.
that that an InDesign user could create that template and give to clients who don't have to know anything about InDesign and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to swap out this font, and this week we're doing a 25% sale instead of a 30% sale." So, I as a designer don't have to go in there and make that in InDesign. They can do it in Express. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of hope there. So
Yeah, I
that's
think that that's been a push, I think, among users, and maybe Adobe's finally listening, is that we need to take InDesign out of its silo,
yeah,
and we need to allow end users and clients and colleagues to be able
yes,
to edit what we're
yes,
doing in InDesign without having to own InDesign.
yep. I
So
think
that's all good.
that is all good and
Yeah.
really, really important. And I mean, they've talked about that before, this idea of putting documents in the cloud,
Uh huh.
having
Right.
InDesign documents in the
Right.
cloud.
Right.
So they've been beta testing that for a long time. I think we're going to finally see that as a rollout for everybody.
Yep.
And that, when you have your InDesign document in the cloud, then you have all kinds of options for doing stuff with it in
Yep.
the cloud, right? So
Yeah.
it gets it off of my desktop and into something that a lot of people can mess with. So I think we're gonna see some cool things there too.
I'm interested. I think this will be enough reason for me to test out Adobe Express to see how that
Okay.
works, and
All
maybe I
right.
can find some uses with my clients. But
Yeah.
speaking of Adobe Max, they
Yes.
are
Yes.
one of the sponsors for
Ah,
today's episode.
nice segue there. That
You
was a
like
good
that?
segue.
Good. Okay. Adobe Max is October 12th to the 16th. Now, October 12th and 13th is pre-conference,
Mhm.
those all day long, cool Russell
Yep.
Brown stuff. And then the 14th, 15th, and 16th is the actual online or in-person conference. And it's going to be in Miami Beach for the first time this year, which is
Yeah.
nice. Maybe you can all come by and see my aunt in, Calle Ocho. I got a bunch of Cuban relatives down there. But if you are, that's in person. If you are only going to go online, which is
Mhm.
free, then it's only October 14th and 15th. And there's still a ton of sessions you can see and watch them online. Now, you are doing a couple sessions. You want to mention those?
So I'm doing a lab, which is a 90-minute lab where everyone's going to come in there. Everyone has a computer, hands-on lab, and I'll walk them through creating an interactive document. which is going to be great fun.
Yep.
We'll talk about what you can export into various document formats, what you can put in a PDF, how little you can put in a PDF, how much you can put in a fixed layout EPUB or publish online. We're going to be talking about exporting HTML directly from InDesign a little bit, which is going to be fun. So all the kind of interactive stuff, animation, slideshows, hyperlinks, we're going to be talking about that in the lab. My other session is just going to be fun tips and tricks. I'm just going to go nuts for an hour talking about all my favorite tips and tricks and showing scripts. And,
only an hour? What?
Only an
How
hour.
are they going to stop you? They're going to have a hook. Pull you off stage.
Last year, I did one of those pre-conference things.
Yeah.
And it was an all-day tips and tricks.
Wow.
This time, they're like, okay, an hour.
Right.
But I'm doing it like 3 times. 2 or 3 times.
Right, because they keep getting sold out, your sessions.
Right, so they're having me do it multiple times.
That's great.
So that's really nice. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to go to Miami. I haven't been there in a long time. But you mentioned that the online version is free. Now, my sessions are not going to be part of online.
Oh, bummer.
But they do the recordings. They record them. At least they record the session, the tips and tricks one. I know they record that one.
I don't think they record the labs.
I think it's a good point. And then they make those available after the show. So
got it.
Anybody can see this. And if you're listening to this 6 months from now, just go look at Adobe Max. I'm sure you'll find the videos. Right. So good stuff. And you were going to be
go ahead.
You were going to be speaking. They asked you to speak.
They asked me to speak. I've been speaking there for I think 8 years now.
Yeah, long time.
And but I can't do it this year. So I said, sorry, can't do it. So the session that I used to do a lot, I believe Lori Rulins has ramped it up, and she's doing it now.
Yep, that's going to be great. Yeah. Lori is going to be there. Chad Chelius, Nigel French, so many of our friends. Dax is going to be there. So many of our friends. Bart,
of course.
Again, back to the pre-conference. Bart Vandevilla and Rob DeWinter, I think, are doing a Gen AI, all-day Gen AI pre-conference thing, which is going to make people's brains explode, I'm sure. So that's, and both of them, by the way, after Max in December, they're coming and speaking at our event at the Design and AI Summit, which
cool.
We'll talk about that later.
All right.
Anyway, it's going to be great to see everyone there. I think it's going to be lots of fun. Sign up. If you can be there in Miami, come by and say hello. Hello. And if you can't be there, then at least sign up for the online.
That's free. Right.
Why wouldn't you?
And you can look for me in the online. I'll be there online.
Excellent.
So thank you, Adobe Max, for sponsoring our episode.
Yes.
All right. So I think it's time to introduce our snippet.
Yes.
Right?
A snippet. Right. So I did this whole interview. We're going to take a little snippet. Anne-Marie was like, we love the word snippet. Because, of course, it's a feature called Snippet.
My next dog is going to be named Snippet.
Oh, that would be so cute. I love that.
Yeah, don't you think so?
I do think so. So we're going to take a little snippet from that interview.
The other dog will be called Creative Cloud Library, CC Library. Snippet and CC Library. Yeah, CC.
CC. That's actually cute. Snippet and CC.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's gonna be awesome. Okay. Back to let's get focused here, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, focus.
Very
Paula,
serious business.
Paula
Scher, who is one of the world's most famous graphic designers. She's been in this business for over 50 years. She has designed some of the most amazing album covers. Remember album covers? Back in the 70s, she was doing album covers. She has designed some of the most amazing, most famous logos around the world, CNN and the New York Met, all kinds of stuff. She is in the center of design for the past 50 years. And she's going to be speaking at the Design and Marketing Summit coming up. So I'm so excited that we're going to get a glimpse into her brain, into how she thinks about design. And I think anybody, InDesign users, Photoshop, Illustrator, anyone who is in the design space is going to learn a lot from Paula. So I said, hey, could we just do a little quick interview? And she said, sure, which was so nice of her. So
cool.
To this little interview, we're going to take a little snippet of it, and let's just go ahead and play that.
Okay.
I'm curious, though, if as you're thinking about designing identities, you've got the marketing department down the hall coming over and saying, yeah, but is it going to sell? Is that going to be, is this, I mean, how do you work when you're coming from a pure design perspective and you're thinking about the spirit of the thing, which I love that idea. how do you deal with the folks in marketing who come over and they're yelling that you can't sell it because it has New York and London on the or DC on the cover? How do you deal with that problem of design versus marketing?
Well, it's always been there's always been that push pull, and it has to do with the goals of each thing. A marketing person is to a degree, unless they're a real savant, they're driven by numbers. In other words, they're looking at what is a population like? Who, if there's an age range of people who buy this stuff, what do they want? If there is a color that's very popular right now, what is that color? If there is a methodology of communication, what are they doing on TikTok and blah blah? I mean that's sort of their concern. Hmm. The problem is that what that information tells you is what they like now. It doesn't tell you what they like in the future. Hmm. A designer's issue is in both making something that might be palatable to the public as it exists now, but edges them into a different way of thinking. And that's very hard to achieve because there's always fear that's driving the process in relationship to the client. Like I want to go from here to here. And if I'm lucky, I can go from here to here.
Well, it's interesting, the idea that design has a much longer
shelf life. The stuff's supposed to last 50, 60, 100 years.
Yeah.
I have, there's a book on logo design that was done by Tash, and it's just amazing. It shows everything from, there are two volumes of it. I think the earliest one starts in like early 1800s to the 1900s, and then maybe even to 19, and then there's another one that goes from mid 1900s to 2000. And you see things that are much more contemporary than you think. I mean, and they're still around. Like the Audi logo, I think was designed in 1890. Yeah, right.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, it is amazing. I mean, check it out.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating. In some ways, the design, I mean, they designed the future. They designed the culture that we're living in today, the aesthetic that we're living in today, that story that's being told. I love that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you accept it and you don't imagine that it could possibly be. I was shocked when I saw it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There was something else like that too. I mean, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of things that that were designed around the turn of the century. And didn't date, because that was really the beginning of modernism, and it started in mid-Europe, in mostly in Germany. The French had much more of an illustrative basis, but then the British caught on really early. So when you look at the things and you go even to the early 1900s, like 1910 or before World War I, you're sort of shocked at what stuff looks like. Not all of it, some of it.
I'm laughing a little bit only because for you and me, the turn of the century, that phrase turn of the century means the turn of the 20th century. For a lot of people today, the turn of the century was just 25 years ago. Listen, Paula, thank you so much for taking the time to get into this. I love this, and it's a real pleasure. And again, I'm so excited that you're going to be at the Design and Marketing Summit, and that we'll be hearing more from you, because there's so much to learn.
Oh, that's cool.
That was great.
Yes.
That was great.
An amazing person. I've seen her speak once
Paula.
before.
I just got to say thank you again for agreeing to do that. It's so important to learn how to see through other people's eyes in this business.
That's true.
That's what it's all about. So anyway, that was good. And we'll be seeing Paula again at the Design and Marketing Summit in November. So sign up for that. Registration is open.
We'll get to that in just a second. Let's talk about our second sponsor.
Oh, good.
All right. And the other sponsor is PageProof.
PageProof.
This is a longtime sponsor of ours.
Yes.
PageProof is an Adobe add-on, and it's simple to use, but very powerful online proofing platform. All your proofing in one place online for your colleagues, for your boss, for your clients. It's an Adobe Creative Cloud extension. You can create proofs not just from InDesign, but also InCopy, Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and After Effects.
And more. Email, websites. We're actually using it. We're doing a website redesign right now.
Are you?
And we're using PageProof to do comment and review of the
Cool.
web pages. It's
Wow.
crazy good. And one of the things that's great about PageProof is that if you're working on a team where you've got like most of the team is fine working in a web browser, but you've got like one person who won't do it. They're like, nah, I want to use Acrobat. I've been using Acrobat for 400 years. I'm going to keep doing it. That's fine because PageProof can import those comments from from an Acrobat, from PDF.
Okay, that's cool.
And so you can put it all in one place still. It still works great. So it's very, very flexible.
Good.
I love that feature.
Do you have anybody who's doing that for the website redesign? I just need to see it in PDF.
No. We've got me.
Oh,
It's like we just got to print it out.
Right. I can't review anything unless it's print out. Okay.
Unless it's printed out, exactly.
Right. It's funny.
So
this
anyway,
button's not working. What's wrong with it?
PageProof is great. I gotta say a shout out to my friend Mike McHugh. Mike McHugh, do you remember Mike? He was at Adobe for many, many years.
Yeah.
From out of Australia. PageProof just hired him. So
really? Cool.
So he's representing PageProof in Australia. If Mike believes in PageProof,
there you go.
The whole world should too. So that's really exciting. All kinds of good stuff coming out of PageProof land. So check it out, pageproof.com. There's a free trial. You might as well try it. And they just nailed it. That's so
really neat.
Dang easy and powerful. I love those when you put easy and powerful in the same sentence.
Absolutely.
Gotta love that.
Okay, now time for the news and announcements. And then after this, remember, we're going to do the obscure feature of the week. So it's a new flip the script around. You got to let us know what you think. Okay, so the news. First of all, CreativePro Week 2025 registration is open. My God, that's early. Wow, that's fantastic.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be back in Phoenix, Arizona again. It's the same place we were at in 2023. We decided we loved it so much. We got so many great comments about that place. We're going to go back to Phoenix. We already are having a bunch of speakers signed up. We're going to be announcing those very soon. But it's going to be great fun. 5 days, Monday through Friday, June.
I should have put the
dates.
Sometime in June, early June.
It's the first week of June in Phoenix. Check it out at creativeproweek.com. So it's going to be great.
Okay. Let's see. Online summits. You've got them coming up in October, November, December.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the October one is the InDesign and Accessibility Summit.
Yes.
4 days of in-depth sessions on creating accessible documents, social media, etc.
This is our fifth year. I think this is our fifth year doing the InDesign. Is that right? Fourth or fifth year? I think it's fifth year. Oh my gosh. We've got a great lineup. Chad Chelius and Dax Castro have been the program chairs this year. They have brought together an incredible group of people to share really important information about making your documents accessible, whether it's InDesign documents, and they do a lot of InDesign all the way through PDF, or PowerPoint, or Word, or video, or all of those things. Really, really cool. So check that out. Yep.
Good. Then November, the InDesign and Marketing Summit. And there's a lot of N's in that. So can you talk about this?
Poor Anne-Marie. You're doing great.
November.
You're doing great.
Okay.
Hang in there. Design and Marketing Summit. We already mentioned Paula Scher, of course. But there's other amazing, crazy, great speakers. Stephen Gates, the brilliant designer, headlines all kinds of events. Stephen Gates is going to be speaking. Sarah Hindman, who does the type tasting. She is an international font expert. She's going to be talking about font stuff. We've got Nicte Cuevas. We've got, oh my gosh, there's so many great people speaking at the Design and Marketing Summit. Just go there, creativepro.com/events. Learn about it. It's great.
There you go. Well, what about the December one? We mentioned Design and AI Summit,
Design and AI.
is in December.
That's right. And so we're rolling that out. That is also, tickets are available already. And what can I say? It's AI. I should mention, by the way, just in case people were concerned, this podcast is not generated by AI.
Well, speak for yourself. I'm Anne-Marie's avatar. She's actually in the backyard pool swimming right now.
Well, that's what I've been hearing about recently this idea of AI podcasts. And I'm like,
really?
Wait, no. The whole point is that we are humans
right.
talking to other humans.
That's right.
I mean, at some point there'll be AI generated podcasts talking to AI bots, I guess, and
AI's just talking to each other.
Yeah, we'll get the humans out of it entirely. But for now,
I love the
it's all
term.
human.
I love the term in the AI world, hallucinations. You know, when AIs kind of go off the rails,
Yeah,
and they provide answers that make absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
they're called hallucinations.
You know, I don't know if you know, but when we provide answers that go completely off the rails, they're also hallucinations. So
okay, all right. Anyway, so we'll talk about hallucinations in December.
We will at the Design and AI Summit. That's going to be
if you're
awesome.
a CreativePro member, and why aren't you? Look on your benefits page. You can get a discount code for $125 off any multi-day pass to any of those events we just talked about. Go to creativepro.com/events, and you'll see more information about everything we just talked about.
I don't know why we make it's kind of a crazy decision we made. The membership is $78, which is like $650 a month or something, right? So it's not very much. The membership is like $78, but you get $125 off the event. So I don't know who came up with that idea, but anyway, if you're going to go to an event, it's just like a complete no-brainer to be a member. Right. So anyway, that's
become a member.
Do that.
And one of the best benefits of being a member is that you get the subscription to CreativePro Magazine.
Yes.
And the cover for the September issue was accessibility tools for designers, which was an excellent article. And then many other articles in there that had nothing to do with that, but had to do with all sorts of other cool tips and techniques for Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, etc.
Check that out. It's good. So sign up. Come to the event, say hi. We want to see you. It's going to be great. So lots of good stuff happening.
If you're not a subscriber, you know what you can do is you can go to the magazine section of CreativePro.com. Just click magazine.
Yeah.
And there's a free trial issue that you can download. So you can just get some reading for free.
That's
Why
right.
not?
Right.
You don't have to be a paid member to read the trial issue.
You have to be signed up for a free account, but that's free.
Right.
Yeah. So you sign up for the account. You go on down. That's actually a great that trial issue has so many great articles in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer too. Yeah.
Good.
Check it out.
Okay,
all right,
it
is time. It is time.
Go ahead.
For the obscure InDesign feature of the week.
Okay. And it is Paste Nudge. This came from Mike, right? Mike Rankin?
I think it was Mike Rankin, our editor-in-chief, who said, you know what Paste Nudge is, right? And I'm like, nope. No. So we had to figure it out.
Yes. And he told us.
It doesn't. Here's the thing. It does not show up usually with our obscure features. It actually says the name somewhere, right? A tooltip or in this case, I don't think it actually says Paste Nudge anywhere. But the Paste Nudge is a thing that happens, and it happens when you paste text in InDesign. And it started a few versions ago. Have you noticed that when you paste text into InDesign and without any frame selected or anything, you get this little gray box in the lower right corner of the frame that it creates. It creates a frame and then you get this little gray box. That is the paste nudge. And the nudge it's nudging you to say, what do you want to do? You want to do something with this text? And there's usually 3 options in there. If you click on it, it's a little pop-up menu. And the nudge you can paste plain text, where it'll convert it all to plain text. You can maintain the formatting, or you can use, the third option is the thing I hate most, which is auto style.
Hate that. I have seen that, but now I can't invoke it.
Oh, no, really?
No, I can't get it. So it's when you paste text, but you don't have a text frame selected.
Select like if you select some formatted text out of Word or email or web page or something.
Oh, from another program.
From another program.
Oh,
that's a good point. Different program. Then you come back over and you paste, you'll get a little paste nudge.
All right, I'm going back to InDesign.
All right.
And I'll paste it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, there you go. I see it. Thank you very much.
So
you get a little box with a outline T.
Yes. So there's a plain text T, there's a formatted text T, and then there's one that has a little icon next to it to imply the auto style. And auto style is an AI. It's one of their AI crazy things that they're trying to do, where it uploads your text into the cloud, which makes me nervous. It tries to convert it. It tries to format it in clever ways. We've talked about auto style before. We don't need to get into it too much. I hate it. It makes me crazy. Now, here's the thing. You can turn that paste nudge on or off. And in fact, you can turn off that auto style as well in the same place. And the way you do that, of course, is in Preferences. In Preferences, you go to the clipboard handling pane of the Preferences dialog box, and there are two options there. There's a checkbox that says Show Paste Options. That's the paste nudge. Show Paste Options, and then there's Show Auto Style Option. And so my happy place is turning both those checkboxes off, so I no longer have to see that little paste nudge, and I never want to see auto style.
Well, okay, not working right for me. I turned on auto style, but all I see is paste with formatting, paste without formatting, and then an X, which means close me.
So you turn off or turn on auto style?
I turned it on. So clipboard handling.
Okay. And then you paste.
Show paste options. Show auto style option.
The text has to be long enough, but not too long. That's one of the crazy things about auto style is that it won't work for everything.
Okay.
But I don't remember off the top of my head what the deal is. But
I don't know either.
If it's a little bit of
but paste with formatting versus paste without formatting, I think that's handy to have that little thing there. Instead of having to remember, you can go to the edit menu before you paste and choose paste without or paste with.
Yep. I use the keyboard shortcuts. But you're right.
Yeah.
If you don't want to learn the keyboard shortcuts, that's fine. You could use paste remembering formatting or just it's good. It's all right. But the auto style is the one that really makes you crazy.
All right.
Okay. So that's it. That was the that's all you need to know about paste nudge.
Now we know
what the heck that thing is. Now we know.
I think he got that term maybe from the help file. He got it from somewhere.
So
it's mentioned somewhere.
I think it's mentioned somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Mike, for that rabbit hole.
Right. It could be some sort of content creator who is speaking Yiddish. It's a paste nudge. It's a nudge.
It's a nudge. Oh my gosh! I can't believe I didn't think of that. It's not the paste nudge. It's the paste nudge.
Paste nudge. Yeah. Hey, how do you want me to paste it? With the formatting, without? Come on. Paste nudge.
Oh my God! The paste nudge.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay, you better finish.
All right, that's it for episode 323. Be sure to check out the show notes on our blog at CreativePro.com. We'll have links to all the places we mentioned, and we want to hear from you if you like it with the news at the end or you prefer it at the top of the show.
Right.
We'd love to hear what you thought. Leave a comment in the show notes, start a topic in the InDesign Secrets groups on either Facebook or LinkedIn. And until we meet again, this is Anne-Marie Concepción.
And David Blatner for InDesign Secrets.